All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cinebums. We're actually starting a new series today in the new year. This is something I actually wanted to do for a while, not even like in podcast form, just in my life, which was to go through each decade and find out like what are the best films and kind of get a collective consensus about that. And so what we're going to do each month is we're going to go through each decade, starting with the 1950s and go all the way to the 2010s. Obviously not the 2020s because we don't have a full decade to work with there. Unless you all want to, if you have an argument for like any, I don't know, Power of the Dog or something.
We could do like a so far, maybe not like concrete, but what we love. So
yeah,
far.
or like
Yeah, so far wasn't bad.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Just to get a little and then come back 8 years later and finish it off.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Come full circle. But yeah, I got Carlos and I got Blair to do all these with me. And thank you guys for going on this journey. I really appreciate it.
absolutely, dude. I'm honored as usual.
I love being here.
Yeah. I mean, look at all those criterions behind Carlos. He's got encyclopedic knowledge of classic cinema, clearly. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Before we explain the rules and kind of how this is going to work and how we're going to deliberate on the best films of the 1950s, what have y'all seen lately that you liked? Like, scroll through your letterbox, what comes to mind?
Lately, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
So just the other day, I was lucky enough to catch a gorgeous 35 millimeter showing of Buffalo 66 at the Plaza, and that was funnily enough one of my favorite new theater experiences. Like, that was incredible. Yeah,
love that movie.
That's awesome. I also freaking love that movie to death. I mean, that's honestly one of the better like final 10 minutes of a movie I've seen like in recent memory.
Dude, the ending is so satisfying. It felt like I was on a high just because of how good the ending was.
And I absolutely love that song that's used by the band Yes. Like the fact that like I already love that song to death. So to see it being used in a film in such like a creative way like that, it was just so satisfying.
I agree. That was like that might be one of my like favorite uses of a song in film. And I'm like not even like a huge Yes fan, but that was just beautiful the way they used it.
Absolutely. Totally. That movie is a collected like 3 or 4 scenes that are like all timers for me. Like, I always look back to obviously the bowling alley sequence where the tap dancing with Christina Ricci is like just hauntingly beautiful stuff. Just really like, visually just on another level. And then there's stuff like the phone booth when they kind of like they have like their little spat in the phone booth. It's like spanning time is like
spanning time.
So fucking funny.
I know.
I was with such like an amazing like meet cute in a way because they kind of profess their love for each other in like the most perverse way possible, and it's done so well. And like obviously Vincent Gallo is a crazy motherfucker, but that movie is
it works awesome. Though. He made something that really fucking works. It's so crazy.
It is, yeah. It's one of the best films of the 90s, teaser to our 90s episode within 4 months. But yeah, no, that's a great one. I'm jealous you saw that. Did you say it was 35 millimeter?
Yeah, it was a 35 millimeter print.
Fuck, man, that's awesome.
It was so good. So I wanted to bring that up really quick.
Yeah. Carlos, what about you?
So recently I watched In the Mood for Love in 35 millimeter, which was pretty rad. Damn. That was my first 35 millimeter screening ever, so that was really cool. Obviously such a beautifully masterful film. Audience was kind of annoying, but I mean it was still an experience. So yeah, I mean it wasn't that bad. They were just laughing a lot, like really hard at a lot of stuff. I'm like, what the hell's so funny about this movie?
In the Mood for Love? Like what could possibly
that's so weird.
I don't know, but like I remember when I watched it the first time, I was like, I don't remember laughing like ever in this movie. And for some reason, the audience was just found so like the most subtle attempts at humor, they would laugh out loud like it's a punchline. I was like, okay, it's just really extra. I don't know why, but so yeah. Beyond that, recently, I also watched Godland with Blair with Eric. That was an amazing screening. There wasn't that many people in there. And it was on the big screen, and that film all around is so masterful. Yeah, I know that Eric really likes it too. So
Oh,
yeah.
Godland is one of the best of this decade. Again, spoiler alert, but God, it's so good.
Yeah,
that's the Icelandic film, right? That came out last year.
Basically, yeah. It's like Danish / Icelandic, I believe.
Yep. It's like simultaneously both. It's even like a thing in the movie where they trudge both.
Yeah, the whole like Danish and Icelandic thing is like a central theme to the film. So, but yeah, it's honestly one of the most authentic pieces of cinema I've seen like in a very long time. Like, there's not a single element of that film that feels like it's just a movie, and it's just because of how everything is directed and how everything is shot. Not only like the landscape, but just like how the actors are directed. Just these really long take sequences that feel incredibly real. I can't recommend Godland enough. Like, that film needs to have more exposure. It's incredible.
So is that did that premiere like Cannes last year? Or is that like technically a 2023 release? Because I haven't heard about it yet. Actually,
it released in festivals in 2022, but like it's getting like a very limited theatrical release like now. So
basically,
yeah. Besides Godland, I watched Silenced, which is a Korean film. We watched that for the Discord because this week in the Discord everybody had to pick the most fucked up movie to bring to the table. And I picked Silenced because it's a really fucked up movie because it has to do with like molestation of kids that went to this hard of hearing school. Basically, they were basically all deaf children. And there was like this big bust that happened where like the authorities were caught like sexually molesting the kids and everything. It's a horrific subject, but like the film, it's a fucked up movie, but the film actually like changed laws and shit. Like it gave that issue a lot of exposure when people really didn't care about it or didn't even know about it because it was kind of buried. And after that film came out, like it was a huge thing in the country. So, it's a very graphic, super graphic movie. It really goes all the way with like depicting these crimes and these horrible things that happen to children. But, it's kind of necessary in a way because, you kind of hear about it. Like, you always hear that word being thrown out, about children being abused in that way. But like, for a lot of people, I think to actually see it in that way, I think really gets the point across in the way that it should. And also, I think depicting it in the way that it did, I think had a huge hand in like really bringing awareness to this issue in the way that it did. I think if it kind of went soft with it, it probably wouldn't have blown the thing up the way that it did. But
wow.
Yeah. Anyway, kind of went kind of long on that one. But yeah, definitely. I recommend that film. I think it's really, really great. But definitely like only when you're ready, because I'm telling you, it's very unforgiving with how it shows everything. But yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't know that was the same director that worked on Squid Game.
Squid Games,
dude. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. I enjoyed that show. I'm sure it's nothing like Squid Game, but I'll definitely have to. That seems like a very vital movie to our culture. So
it's interesting because Squid Game is like fucked up, but fucked up in a way that like people in mass can obviously like consume.
Yeah, it's a game.
Yeah, it's like a game dealing with like capitalism in people's lives, but it's so weird to me when people like don't see the themes. They're just like, game where you lose your life or win money. How crazy.
Yeah,
it's like you can't draw any parallels to like real life. Okay.
I feel like Squid Game also got caught up in like the TikTok fame and the Mr. Beast shit where it became a very big commodity, just the concept. But the show itself, like absolutely explores like deep thematic themes and stuff. So yeah, that's a weird parallel, but that we got to.
What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I'll bring up two that I've seen recently, both theatrical experiences. So AMC's been showing a revival print of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which is one of my favorite films of all time, and I obviously had to see it. Thankfully, the crowd I saw it with was really respectful for the most part, even though some kid spilled his soda on my seat and took me out of the movie for a good 2 minutes. I was literally, my friend next to me like was kind of laughing for the next 5 minutes, but I was so engrossed in the movie, I kind of like used my peripheries to just cut him out.
Just shook it off.
Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't get wet, but my seat was like dripping Diet Coke the rest of the movie. So,
Damn.
another sidebar of just bad theater experiences. Yeah. But one of my favorite movies.
I was gonna say I haven't seen that movie yet, and yeah, they were playing it at the Plaza Art Theater in Atlanta, but I didn't go see it. But it's a film that I've definitely been wanting to see for a very long time.
Highest of recommendations for me. I think it was a very big film in its day, but I feel like it's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle with other kind of martial arts movies, but it's so much more than that. It kind of explores just every facet of human emotion and the human condition, and the filmmaking is just so elegant, so beautiful. And Michelle Yeoh, like, she's very prominent in the film community right now because of Everything Everywhere, obviously. So it's really cool to go back in time and just see like kind of where her roots came from with this movie. Even though I've seen it so many times, but it's like she's so incredible in that movie. Yeah,
dude. Michelle Yeoh, I think one of the only films I saw her in before Everything Everywhere was Memoirs of a Geisha. And I saw that film because of Jen, and like Jen really loved it. And that was like one of the earliest films that like we kind of watched together because she was like, "Oh, you got to watch this movie." And I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time, but from what I remember, it was actually pretty good. So
yeah, the sets in Memoirs of a Geisha, and it's definitely like production design is pretty top notch. Some good stuff. And like obviously Crouching Tiger was directed by Ang Lee. That was like his peak as a filmmaker, I would say, like coming off The Ice Storm and like Sense and Sensibility and stuff, and going to Brokeback Mountain. Like he was making really incredible movies,
making bangers, dude.
Churning out so many bangers. I'd love to talk about more Ang Lee on the podcast too, because I'm a big fan, but that's his magnum opus, if you ask me. It's like a 5 out of 5, 6 out of 5 masterpiece. But yeah, dude. It's so good. And also I think, Carlos, you said you wanted to join in on this rampage about Cocaine Bear, because I was sorely let down by this movie. I mean, like, my expectations weren't even that sky high, to be honest. It was more I just wanted to have a good time with my friends at the theater.
Same.
Drink some AMC beers, but the movie was tonally just all over the place. And like really unfocused in terms of character, and it focused way too heavily on character. And
dude, like,
no, you could jump in. I just didn't latch on to really anything except for like a few fun sequences that were pretty gory and inventive. But yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty much on the same page. Like, the thing is, like, definitely more than half the movie is like doesn't involve the bear element in the plot at all. Like, I mean, the plot element is there, but you don't actually visually see the cocaine bear really going at it, like, for only maybe like 20% of the actual movie. And that's kind of being generous. So like most of it is just like character interactions, character setup, and a lot of attempts at humor that don't even really work. And I'm actually really lenient on comedy and humor.
Me
but
too.
Like, a lot of it just felt so like it just had poor execution, and a lot of the humor felt forced, and it didn't just click right. And I don't know, it was just really disappointing because like pretty much all the scenes, I mean, there's only maybe a few scenes that don't involve the actual like bear action gore stuff that was like, okay, it's not bad, I guess. But for the most part, like, it just wasn't very good at all. And, you know, I was like you, I didn't go in with like super high expectations. I went in, you know, just wanting just a really fun, dumb movie.
Right.
And yeah, it's dumb fun, but only like in bits. Like, it doesn't deliver. Like, for a film called Cocaine Bear, you kind of expect more out of it. And not saying there aren't some sequences with the cocaine bear that are fucking super entertaining. Like, there's this one car chase sequence with the bear that's really good. Like that, like, if the film had more of that, like, that was like the part of the movie where I was like, holy shit, this is entertaining. This is kind of what I've been waiting for. This is great. But that's like the peak of the movie. Like, after that, like, nothing really gets as good as that scene. And I don't know. It's just a very disappointing movie overall. I think I gave it a solid 5, which is being kind of generous.
Yeah, I gave it like a soft 4.
Damn.
Damn.
I don't think that's too controversial, right? I think most people are pretty down on this movie, like, it's relative to the hype of the title and the trailer and everything. But yeah, like the ambulance scene was really fun. But I made it was really great. Yeah. And I made the joke last night. I'm like, this movie is like trying to be like, with the ensemble of characters, it feels like it's like a fucking Shortcuts or like Boogie Nights. There's like an ensemble of characters, except they don't pay off in any real way. It's like, why are you following like 8 or 10 different characters and threads? It's just really bizarre. And I kind of had the pitch. I'm like, what if it was just like mobsters versus the bear? Because they were the most, heightened and ridiculous characters versus the bear, but there's like kids and like the sheriff guy. It's just like useless characters they throw at the wall, dude. It's really bizarre.
They should have made the movie a lot more like linear. Like, I don't know why. Right. Like, it involved so many different elements. Like, I don't know. Like, a film like this needs to be simple, plot wise, character wise, and everything else. And it just like, you're right. Like, way too many characters, way too many focuses. Poor Ray Liotta. I mean,
I made the joke. The last thing we'll ever see him do on screen is get like eaten by bear cubs. And his spoiler alert. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, Blair, you haven't seen it, I'm sure.
I haven't seen Cocaine Bear.
I mean,
I might just watch it just purely because I have the AMC A-list, so it's like not much commitment or whatever. So
exactly, maybe. It's a perfect AMC Stubs like rainy afternoon movie. It's not
exactly.
Somebody commented on my Cocaine Bear video saying that Ray Liotta actually has like 2 or 3 other films that aren't released yet. So we might see him. Yeah, we might see him in another movie or something. So let's kind of hope that's the case, and hopefully it's a better movie.
Right, because the final credit of the movie, or like before the credits rather, it says a loving tribute to Ray Liotta. I'm like, oh, so this must be his last on screen.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a shame. Like,
I remember at my theater when that rolled. Well, by the way, my theater was packed. And when that credit rolled at the end, somebody in the theater was like, Ray Liotta, who the fuck is that? I was like,
what the hell?
I was like, damn, poor guy.
Fucking pleb.
I know.
The mascot from B movie.
That's the other the guy.
It's like, bro, have you not seen B movie? Ray Liotta, honey.
It's like, it's the guy from Place Beyond the Pines, the bad cop.
He's in that movie? Oh my god.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Completely forgot.
He had a lot of weird character actor roles like in his later half of his career, so
he's a Marriage Story, and I remember that, but
yeah, he was really good in that actually. He was very good.
He was.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah, for sure.
Great actor. And yeah, like kind of going off what you were saying about the guy. I had a lot of, to put it lightly, dumb audience members in my screening.
Mine was pretty bad.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I kind of knew that movie. It was kind of like a horror audience. Because that brings out the worst people. Yeah. It's like half drunk, like middle-aged women and like teenagers. Yeah. There's a woman in front of me, like throughout the whole movie, was like scrolling through like DoorDash and shit, like looking at food.
What the fuck?
I was just like, are you about to order like?
Are you shitting me?
You're about to order like Popeyes to see Cocaine Bear or some shit. I didn't care though, because the movie was so unengaging. I didn't really give a shit. But it's like, but then after the movie, just the reception, everyone in the theater was like, besides the group I saw it with, like we all hated it, but everyone else was like, man, I can't. They got to make more of those. I'm like,
yeah, wow. I think, dude, like 90% of my theater liked it.
I would agree. Yeah,
I think it was just great for like, I don't know, I hate to say it, but like the kind of like casual audience. I think it was just. They had fun with it, I guess, which whatever. It's fine. I'm glad they had fun.
I couldn't understand there, because it was like kind of like what you're saying about Into the Mood for Love. It's a lot of impromptu laughter that wasn't like well deserved in my opinion. So it just kind of got on my nerves. That
absolutely. And again, usually I'm not that guy. Like usually, like I'm really lenient with humor. Like I love Adam Sandler movies, and even like some of his later works that people hate, like I even dig some of that shit. So like
Hubie Halloween.
Yeah, I like Hubie Halloween. Oh my
god, you guys are alone on that shit.
I love Hubie Halloween.
Oh boy, it's gonna be on my best of 2010s. So get ready.
Like it's not a good movie, but it's just entertaining and funny to me for the most part. I don't know, but
yeah.
But Cocaine Bear, it was just like it was trying hard to be funny, and it was not funny for a lot of it. So I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that movie, honestly. And really relevant to the Kurosawa movies and stuff we're going to be talking about in a second here. But yeah, the one thing I was going to add, I remember I've seen Infinity Pool with a packed audience, like the amount of people that hated that movie, and then the contrast of like Cocaine Bear, where it's like a crowd pleaser. It's just kind of like,
oh my God,
that's moments where I'm like, my taste is like just so different than a lot of the other people's, where it really shows with examples like that, you know?
Yeah, when you go into a movie like that, like it kind of like exposes, like I don't want to say like how different we are or something like that, but just how most people are when they go to a movie. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the vast majority of people that go to the movies just view it a lot differently.
Sure. And I'm not highbrow. I see mostly anything, and I don't have the best takes on it. Like I like most movies. You guys know that.
I'm kind of that way too, honestly.
Right. And yeah, I see dumb comedies. I see bad horror movies. I don't care. But when there's just like a legit bad movie, like a stupid Marvel movie, it's always the case where like I feel like I'm a sore thumb in the group. And everyone's like, no, that was a lot of fun. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Like, and then I feel bad. I feel like I'm some sort of like pretentious asshole, but I don't know what to tell you. Like if I was truly like pretentious, like I would give like Puss in Boots like a 5 out of 10, or I would like, give every like, whatever movie, like, a bad grade. But I like normal movies too, but it has to be good. It has to be a good normal movie.
When I edit this, I'm going to slowly zoom in on your Criterion collection while you say that.
Nice.
Oh man. Yeah, this is like going back to our theater experiences episode. It's like part 2 in a way. But yeah, we should definitely. It's a follow up. I had like other shit come to my mind, but I got to block it out because I'll keep rambling. But anyway, I should tell everyone about what we're doing with the 50s. So like I said at the top, we're going to be going through each decade from 1950s onward. We discussed doing the 40s, but I think you guys admitted that you don't have enough exposure to the 40s, which is totally fair. It was almost 80 years ago at this point.
How many 40s movies I actually saw, but on my letterbox, I think I only have legitimately like 5, like at most. So.
Yeah, I really don't have much either, admittedly.
I'm glad. No, that's totally fair. I probably have like 20 or something total. So it'd be kind of a boring conversation. That's when I was like watching a bunch of musicals and like classic Hollywood stuff. So nothing really interesting to even talk about. But I mean, the 50s was a really exciting time because you had great American film, but you had like the international wave of really inspiring directors like Kurosawa and Sachi Ray. Kubrick, Hitchcock kind of found their footing in the 1950s. So it's a really solid decade looking back. So I mean, and like you look at Scorsese and Coppola and all these guys in the 70s, like whenever they talk about what inspired them as filmmakers, it's always looking back to the 1950s decade and at least like the international wave. They're obsessed with Kurosawa and like John Ford movies, like The Searchers and stuff like that. So I think it's a good place to start because it's kind of I'm not gonna say we're knowledgeable about it, but I think we've seen enough movies to define the decade and come with a definitive top 10, if that makes sense.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think the rules are we're each going to present 5 different films. So 15 total by the end, and our job is to dwindle it down to 10. So we're gonna be crossing off people's movies. Hopefully no one's feelings get hurt, but I think it's gonna be a fun deliberation and conversation, like a friendly argument. Maybe there won't even be an argument. Maybe it'll be easy ones to cross out. But it's good to have like 3 people on this, and eventually we're gonna have 4 people on the episode because we're gonna get a full kind of buffet of different movies and different people's tastes. And you guys asked before the podcast, like, is this objective or subjective? And my answer was kind of like it's a mix of both. Like I think it should be your personal taste, but also like kind of encompassing what a very iconic movie of the 50s would represent. And like Carlos, you said like different filmmakers, right? Like you've chose like make sure that you chose different directors and that never like doubled up on certain people to kind of have variety.
That is correct. I mean, it's painful, but like, I just to be more inclusive, I only included one film per director. I did the same thing for like my top 20 favorite films of all time. I always pick just like one film per director because
I try and do that too at this point.
If not, I'm gonna have like 4 Kubrick films and like 3 Von Trier films and 4 Paul Thomas Anderson films, and it's just gonna be like a boring list. So
yeah, same.
Right. No, that's a good idea. And that's when your taste truly shows up, because you can see like what directors you're obsessed with, and then maybe some directors had like a great one-off film that's like a masterpiece that you really like. I certainly have one that I'm going to talk about, so it's gonna be really interesting. So yeah, we're gonna go from 5 to 1, kind of switch off. Blair, would you like to kick us off with your number 5?
Sure. So admittedly, this is probably going to be the one that's freshest in my head because we had a discussion on it on the Misfit Pond Discord. I promise I'm not just trying to be a plug. Just happens to work that way.
$5 a month.
Yeah.
$5 a month on Patreon. Get full access to the Discord.
So this is All That Heaven Allows. Is my number 5. I'm sorry, I forget the director. I'm gonna have to look that up real quick.
That would be Douglas Sirk.
Douglas Sirk. Yep. I truly fell in love with this film like immediately on my first watch. I just adore Technicolor films, and the way this movie uses it is really, really great. And I love the 2 central performances a lot. It feels really touching and also kind of heartbreaking, the kind of turmoil they go through, and like the character decisions that and their environment that kind of lead to their complicated relationship. It's really compelling. And shout out to Bill Griff, who like really put this movie like in front of me to help me watch it. Like, so yeah, if you haven't seen this film, I'd really recommend anybody else checks it out, because it's just a great like kind of melodrama, but in my opinion, it's like the best kind of melodrama. Like it's like peak melodrama. If that makes sense. So yeah, that's my number 5, All That Heaven Allows.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I like it a lot too.
Me too. It's under my honorable mentions. I'm a big melodrama fan, especially from that era when done really elegantly like that. And yeah, like the Technicolor and the whole presentation of that movie, especially on Criterion, is just so eye-gasmic. It looks incredible.
It's a must buy for my next Criterion haul.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah, I have it. It looks incredible. So yeah, that's your number 5. Carlos, do you want to go next?
Sure. I have a few honorable mentions.
You can save those actually.
I'll save it.
I think at the end, with our top 10, I think we can just like throw a few out and see if those will make it too. Because I think we can do like a rapid fire round if that's cool with you.
Oh yeah, I'm down. Yeah, totally. All right then. My number 5 is actually The Wages of Fear. This film, I watched it back in film school, basically. I shouldn't call it film school. It's a school that offered film as a course. But basically, yeah, that was on our curriculum, and I fell in love with the film. It's one of the first like 50s films that I watched that like I really fell in love with. And it's a really intense film. It might take like the first 20 minutes or so. It's a lot of like, establishing character and context and everything. But, once we get like, in this, like in the thick of the action of this movie, which is basically like starts right off the bat after that first 20 minutes, it is just like nonstop suspense. Really intense stuff. And there's some heavy, I guess like anti-capitalist themes as well that's kind of woven throughout this film, about the kind of dangerous jobs that people are kind of thrown in to do. Also kind of like satirizing, these like big time bosses who, don't want to get their hands dirty. But really intense film. Just to give, I guess, like a very general summary of the plot, basically like two people have to carry very explosive cargo through a very rocky landscape that pretty much any wrong move can cause a whole damn thing to fucking blow up. So and actually we're going to be watching I guess you call it a remake from, I think I could be wrong, but I think Werner Herzog made the remake for it called Sorcerer.
William Friedkin.
Yeah. There you go. And I'm going to watch that for the first time this week. So I'm really looking forward to that because I heard that's really great. But yeah.
I actually haven't seen Wages of Fear yet. It's been on my list forever, but I have seen Sorcerer, and that's a 70s masterpiece in my opinion.
Oh shit. I'm even more excited now.
One of Friedkin's best films. I don't know how well it compares to I heard Wages of Fear. I mean, obviously you think it's a masterpiece. I can't wait to check that out. But yeah, the whole concept of the kind of tension of the truck not being able to touch the ground and blow up is really fascinating. So I can't wait to watch that. Yeah,
I haven't seen either, but I guess I'll watch Sorcerer this week.
It's so good. It's so good. And the director of Wages of Fear, I didn't know did Die Belique. So that's interesting. Yeah,
that's also a pretty good movie. I like that one.
Yeah, please. French genre filmmaker, it seems like. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's a French filmmaker, but the Wages of Fear, I think, takes place in, I could be wrong, but I think it's actually in Cuba or something.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
yeah, it's actually there's a lot of Spanish there's a lot of Spanish spoken in the movie. So
they kind of integrate some communist themes, I'm sure.
Yeah, there has to be something like that. I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've seen it, but I do think from what I remember, the Wages of Fear takes place in Cuba.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I trust that.
It seems to check out.
Carlos starts a war with Cuba. Anyway.
Cuba's based. I'm just kidding.
We love our Cuban listeners if there are any out there. That's a great pick. Glad we got something. We diversify our list in that way. So, I'll go with my number 5 now. Mine is a film by Sacha Ray.
Yes.
And it is the first film in the Apu trilogy, Panther Panchali, which is a movie.
Oh, dude, I want to see that movie so bad.
I want to watch it really bad too.
Damn, it might not make our list then in the end since you guys haven't seen it, sadly. But it's my number 5. It's my personal favorite of the Apu trilogy. Some would argue the second and third flesh out the character a lot more. If you guys don't know, it kind of chronicles this boy's life throughout the years. And the first film, Panther Panchali, is essentially his upbringing from like a baby to a toddler to young, preteen, basically. This movie is just timeless in every single way. The photography is just so gorgeous, and the landscapes are so raw and so luscious at the same time. And this movie is just so damn relatable in many ways to me personally. I think there's just the family dynamics and the kind of curious nature of this kid is just so well captured in this movie. There's so many just pure cinematic moments in this movie that would like long stretches without any dialogue, where this kid is just exploring the world that just is so well observed and so masterfully done. It's just so cool that it kickstarts this whole chronicle of this man's life. Very personal to Sacha Ray. And this it's just a masterful film, and I hope you guys check it out soon. I'm sure you will. Because I think it's a must see for any film fan for sure. And it's inspired most of the filmmakers that we love today. So yeah, that's my number 5. Panchali.
Yeah, the only Sacha Ray film that I've seen is The Hero, and I think that's a must see masterpiece. So
that's the only film I've seen from him as well.
Yeah, my roommate brought that up on our podcast. I remember. Or what was it, you actually, when we talked about underrated criterions, right?
Yeah, I think that was me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I got to see that. And he's such a great director. Odd Man.
Yeah, I love that movie.
So yeah, Blair, with your number 4 next.
Okay, so this is the one that I have least fresh in my head, but my viewing experience when I first watched it is strong enough for like me to definitively say it'd be my number 4. So I'm gonna go with The 400 Blows by Francois Truffaut. I haven't seen that many French New Wave films, but from the ones I have seen, this definitely like takes the cake of being the best and my favorites. What I do remember is that the child performance, the central child performance, is incredible. It would honestly probably be in like my top 3 child performances of all time. It might even be my number 1. I remember the filmmaking just being really fantastic, like everything just feeling very natural, because French New Wave is known for its kind of like crazy editing, but from what I remember, this movie really flows very well. And the way it kind of builds this child's kind of journey and his tumultuous relationship with his parents was really well done. And I especially remember the iconic ending. I guess I won't spoil it for anybody, but there's a lot of movies that very much take inspiration of this film, like especially in its ending. And it's definitely due for a rewatch for me. But yeah, I'm curious to hear how you guys feel about it. Like I know Carlos loves it, but
yeah,
I don't talk about this. I don't talk about this movie very much, and I definitely think it should be in the conversation more because it's really incredible.
Was it you, Carlos, that referred to this as the 400 blowjobs?
that was actually Perry.
Credit to Perry.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that one.
And whenever I think of that movie, I can't get that out of my head. Like that's the quintessential title. I love that film to death. Yeah, that was a early Criterion movie that I watched. You know, like I think I was still in high school at the time, so it's been a while for me. But yeah, I agree. It's a masterpiece and one of the best coming of age revealing films about a director's early life that I've ever seen. So
it's definitely one of the best coming of age films, like hands down.
Yeah.
It's also like surprisingly a fast paced movie too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it kind of helped me like always like keep engagement because I never felt like there was a lag time, despite it being in ways almost like a slice of life film.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I'd always thought it'd be a fun double feature if you were going to do like a coming of age thing to like watch that and then watch Where's the Friend's House and kind of like these portraits of a young director's, you know, looking back on his childhood. And those are like the two best in my opinion. So
yeah, both of those films have kids running a lot.
Yeah. Whimsical children running throughout like large cities and stuff. It's really love that stuff. So yeah, amazing choice. Follow that up, Carlos.
All right. So first of all, I want to correct the record and say The Wages of Fear was not in Cuba. It took place in the South American jungle.
Okay, cool. So, similar to Sorcerers the same way. Okay.
Yeah. Before somebody comments like, it don't take place in
exactly. Cuba. some chuckle fuck will be happy to correct you. So it's good that you said it.
I pictured it was going to be Perry to correct the record.
That would be a Perry thing. All right. So at number 4 on the list, have kind of a, I don't want to say like it's an easy pick, but it's kind of a predictable pick, I guess, but I can't help it because I really love the movie. So number 4, I got Sunset Boulevard from obviously Billy Wilder. Yeah. I know this is considered like one of the best films ever made. This is like in most people's, top 1950s lists. But yeah, I mean, I can't help it. This film really is truly incredible, like in so many ways. I've only seen it once, but it stuck with me so well, like ever since that first watch. I mean, the acting in it, it's so great, especially from the main actress whose name I can't recall right now. Maybe somebody knows, but she is incredible in this film. The thing with like Billy Wilder is that what I've noticed from all the films that I've seen from him is that his directing style is kind of like cartoony in a way. Like a lot of his characters are very like active, and there's it's a very high energy type of filmmaking he has. Just like the way that the characters express themselves and whatnot. But it works really, really well with Sunset Boulevard. It works incredibly well, as opposed to maybe a film like Stalag 17, which I wasn't a fan of his kind of cartoony approach with, like, prisoner of war camps or whatever. But with Sunset Boulevard, it tackles so many themes. The main one being having to do with Hollywood and the film industry, obviously, in a way criticizing Hollywood in multiple different ways. But yeah, and just like even besides like from its like thematic quality, just from like a character and story perspective, it's quite incredible. Just the way that things unravel, the way that Billy Wilder presents the story and the structure. It's just really, really great. It has one of the best like final scenes, in a movie like ever. But yeah, I fucking love this movie. Honestly, it's due for a rewatch. I don't think it's been like at least 4 or 5 months since I've seen it, and I already want to see it again. So yeah.
I shamefully have yet to see this film. And
damn.
Love Billy Wilder. And that's like my biggest gap with him. And I'm very ashamed. I need to push for a watch for sure.
I think Double Indemnity is my favorite Billy Wilder movie, period. But it's always neck and neck between that and Sunset Boulevard. They're both just truly incredible.
Yeah. I've never seen Sunset Boulevard, but I adore with all my heart Double Indemnity.
Incredible movie. It's like one of the best femme fatale performances by Barbara Stanwyck in that movie. It's like, goddamn. And I love The Apartment too. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. It's great.
I've never seen
one of my favorite.
It.
It's so good. One of my favorite scripts ever in film. So I'm glad you talked about it, because it would be kind of embarrassing if this didn't show up on anyone's list, because it's quintessential.
Yeah. I'm kind of shocked. I thought at least one of y'all saw it. I thought one of y'all watched Sunset Boulevard.
Nah, we suck. We're not good movie watchers, clearly.
Our Kino license needs to be revoked.
I mean, I've only seen it like not too long ago, technically. So I was there with y'all for such a long time.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother podcast I would love to do one day, is just going over all the embarrassing gaps in film that I have. And like, obviously, having people to talk about that with would be a lot of fun. So that's definitely like in the top 5 where I'm like, fuck, why have I not bite the bullet already? I'm just going to be amazing, Yeah,
you're going to love it. Guaranteed.
It's a guarantor.
Oh yeah.
Okay. My number 4 is also one of my favorite films of all time, which I realize should be probably number 1 on my list, but fuck it. I'm just gonna talk about it now. It's Night of the Hunter, which is directed by Charles Laughton, the one and only film he ever directed. I'm making sure I have that fact right. Yeah, that's the only thing he ever directed. A huge movie star. But this movie, man, is just so innovative in terms of technical work, in terms of the sound design and the cinematography, just out of this world for the time, coming out in 1955. And the plot of this movie is really simple. It's just 2 kids kind of find some money or some item. I honestly don't remember the exact item that they discover, but it belongs to Charles Laughton. And I always describe this movie as like 1950s No Country for Old Men, because it's literally just a cat and mouse chase across the American landscape. And yeah, this movie is just moody as hell, like very atmospheric and terrifying. Like you could almost make the argument that this is a horror movie, just in terms of the tone, in terms of the villain. Let me pull up his name. I'm blanking on who plays the villain in this movie. Robert Mitchum, of course, who's an incredible actor. And he is so menacing and so alluring at the same time. It's honestly one of the greatest villain performances I could think of, akin to like Anton Chigurh's character. Maybe it's a stretch to compare those movies so closely, but I couldn't help but think of that this movie inspired the Coen brothers so deeply. And they've even referenced it so many times. And that's kind of why I watched it in the first place. But yeah, this movie's just a masterpiece on every technical level and story level. And really a movie that most people, even like I would say non-film lovers, would enjoy because the story is just so simplistic. And yeah, it's the Criterion is out of print, unfortunately, but there's so many great supplements about, Robert Mitchum, because it's the only film he ever directed. And it's just really interesting that movie got made in the first place. And yeah, I couldn't say enough great things about it. It's a masterpiece. So have y'all seen Night of the Hunter?
I have not, but the way you describe it makes me really want to watch it.
Yeah, same here. I unfortunately have not seen it. It's been on my watch list for a very long time, basically. I know that Bill in the Discord really loves it. So yeah, it's a must see for me, but haven't seen it yet.
It is a must see. That's always one of the first films I'd recommend if someone's like asking for a classic film, like an entryway, maybe to classic Hollywood or something. And very much inspired, like not only the Coen brothers, but like the way Wes Anderson framed shots and, people like that, like utilizing a lot of wides and a lot of just very symmetrical and off-putting angles and stuff like that. It's just so fascinating in every technical category. So that is my number 4, but also could be my number 1. I just love it. So
hell yeah, dude.
So yeah, Blair, you are next with your number 3.
It's always a daunting task kicking these off. It's like a high. No,
it is.
So my number 3 is a film that I was very surprised Carlos gave a 10 out of 10. For some reason, I didn't think Carlos would, but it made me very happy. And we all here give it 10s apparently. So this is Late Spring by Yasujiro Ozu.
Oh, is that a 50s film?
Shit.
Oh, is it not? Oh my god!
I thought it might have been I thought it was a 40s film.
I was so certain it was a 50s film.
Let's do a quick fact check. I think that's 1949. Sorry, man.
I'm sorry for fucking up that flow.
No.
But full disclosure, Late Spring is a fucking incredible fucking movie.
I was about to say, I'm like, that would have been on my list in a heartbeat if that was the 50s.
Yeah, I thought I fucked up for a second. I was like,
no, I fucked up. Okay. I do have a backup. Let me fucking double check that this is now I'm uncertain of myself.
You were 1 year off. You weren't that far.
Okay. Yeah. So I do have a backup. My actual number 3 is a director we already talked about. Billy Wilder. I'm gonna go with Some Like It Hot.
Yeah, that is a really good one.
I was honestly not expecting to love this movie when I watched it, but I ended up doing a movie night for it and I was pleasantly surprised. I really love this movie. This is the only other Billy Wilder film I've seen besides Double Indemnity, and obviously they're very different films, but both just excel in their own fucking way. And it's also the only Marilyn Monroe film I've ever seen, and she's great in this along with Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. The pacing of this just works really fucking well. It's constantly super energetic and consistently funny. Like the film isn't always like busting out loud. Like it's not a film you're probably gonna catch me like necessarily like bursting out laughing every scene, but it's consistently like really well written, like as a really amazing screenplay. And honestly, it just holds up well as like a very entertaining 50s comedy. And I love it enough to say it'd probably be like in my top 50 films of all time. I really, really love this movie a lot. So yeah.
Amazing.
Billy Wilder's Some Like It Hot. It's a great fucking film.
I'm glad we have 2 Billy Wilders. That's amazing representation of his work for sure. And if we did 40s, I'm sure Double Indemnity would have been like a no-brainer.
Oh yeah,
on the top 10. Yeah.
I also think it's like kind of incredible how tasteful the humor is for like the cross-dressing element. Especially for like the 1950s, you would expect that thing to maybe like age a little bit with
exactly
time.
Right. I'm with you.
But it doesn't age at all. Like even now with how sensitive those topics can be, it's still like just incredibly well done. So, yeah,
absolutely. Billy Wilder's all of his movies always remain so contemporary. Honestly, if you watch, I mean, The Apartment or Ace in the Hole, like those movies, those themes and the tone of those movies just feel just perfect for today. And I wish we had more movies like that, to be honest with you. So,
yeah, Ace in the Hole is so good.
Yeah,
I want to watch that. I haven't
a master. Kirk Douglas in that movie. Is that the 50s? Like, fuck. There's so many I forgot about. Could be.
It could definitely be.
It's a 51 film, yeah.
Damn. Okay, quick honorable mention for Ace in the Hole.
Yeah, same.
Definitely. Okay.
My turn.
You're number 3.
All right. So my number 3 is a film from my favorite filmmaker of all time. It's Stanley Kubrick, and it is The Killing.
Hell yeah.
So I basically had to choose between The Killing or Paths of Glory, because those are two amazing Stanley Kubrick films. And I just went with The Killing. It could possibly be just because of like recency bias. It's the most, and in comparison to both movies, I haven't seen Paths of Glory for like almost 2 years. The Killing I saw at least half a year ago. But either way, like I feel like The Killing deserves a lot more exposure, because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen it because they're kind of hesitant on whether or not it's going to actually be good, because it's such an early like Kubrick film. But to me, The Killing is basically like where Stanley Kubrick was becoming for sure Stanley Kubrick, because like it's a stylistic movie, like from a camera standpoint, it's stylistic in terms of structure, even in terms of film editing, it's stylistic. And yeah, I think the way it goes about the heist and how it explores all these different characters, I mean, it's a riveting movie. And it's a 50s heist movie, and it's absolutely riveting from start to finish. Yeah, and again, like it dives into a bunch of different characters, and I think how it kind of resolves all these characters, and how it explores all of them is quite impressive. But yeah, I don't want to give too much away, because I know like The Killing is a Stanley Kubrick film that I feel like a lot of people have kind of slept on, but I'm telling you, like it's a very riveting and engaging and stylistic heist movie that you're definitely going to regret putting off for so long. So yeah, The Killing from Stanley Kubrick, fantastic film.
I'm with you, dude. I fucking love The Killing a lot. Like I was pretty fucking blown away by how much I fucking adored that movie. It's consistently entertaining, start to fucking finish.
Same. I thought okay, yeah, I was gonna like it, but after watching it, I was like, fuck, I am in love with this movie.
Yeah, that's how I was too.
It's really one of the best paced films I could think of. Just how much he packs into like an 80-90 minute heist movie. And there's so many shots I think about in that movie. Like there's the one shot of the guy on the horse before the crash occurs, I believe, and it's like this amazing dolly, or I don't know what you'd call it, honestly.
It's like a tracking kind of shot.
It's like a tracking, but I feel like the camera had to be moving on like a dolly or something. With it.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure, but it is gorgeous. And then, of course, no spoilers, but the ending at the airport is like such a iconic Kubrick scene and just image, and
freaking
kind of
intense, dude.
Yeah, and like really resonates the whole money obsessed, society he was kind of depicting in that whole movie, and like seeing what rears his head at the very end is like really poetic, I feel like. And yeah, just such an entertaining, great movie. Paths of Glory is actually, I love that movie too. I would throw an honorable mention to that movie.
Yeah,
one of the best anti-war movies I could think of. Honestly, it's incredible. Absolutely. Good director, in my opinion.
Some would say.
Yeah. He's going to definitely show up a lot in the 70s, 80s, and maybe 90s. Sure. 60s too. Every decade.
Pretty much every decade, yeah.
He's going to show up. If we did the 40s, maybe you would talk about Killer's Kiss. I don't know.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Maybe it'll even show up in the 2010s. We'll see.
What's that? The sequel to 2001? It's like 2010. Yeah.
And Grown-ups 2.
Kubrick directed that. It was just in the vault.
Damn, yeah. Makes sense why it's such a masterpiece, right? Okay, so my number 3, I'm making a change. I had another movie that I'll shout out later in the honorable mentions, but Blair brought up Late Spring, which made me think of Ozu, and I couldn't pass up on an Ozu movie because he's one of my favorite directors. I'm not picking the one that most people would think. I'm gonna pick my personal favorite Ozu, which is Good Morning. An incredible movie. There's a movie I saw very early on. I believe I was in college. And I liked it, and I loved what it was exploring. But it was one of those movies I rewatched, and I'm like, damn, this is truly one of my favorite movies ever, and also one of my favorite portraits of parent-children sort of dynamics in kind of a post-war situation, which is just kind of a setup in movies I really tend to love for some reason. I think there's something truly special about depicting ordinary life with a backdrop of kind of impending doom or just a very drastic change of life. But this movie stays really grounded. It doesn't really explore the larger themes, but really the smaller themes of this kind of community's life. And I love how it's just a plethora of different characters, and the story is just so simple of these kids want a TV to watch like sumo wrestling, and it's definitely Ozu's funniest film. If you guys seen the movie, you would know why. There's a lot of like toilet and farting humor in this movie. And the kids feel at times even more just smarter and more intelligent than the adults. And I love that sort of stuff. And it's just the photograph so beautifully, the colors. I believe it's one of his first colored films. And don't get me wrong, like the framing and the photography of his black and white films, especially Late Spring, are just drop dead gorgeous. But the luscious color of Good Morning is just so welcoming and so beautiful. This is more of a personal pick. I think people would definitely agree it's one of the best Ozu movies, and I just wanted to represent it on our list with something more personal. So yeah, have you all seen that?
Yes, it's awesome.
I love Good Morning.
So glad.
I considered it for my 50s list.
Like I said, not traditionally like people would look at it maybe as masterpiece, but it's a movie. I think it's his most rewatchable and most just personal to me. So that's had to shout it out. So we're getting really deep. We're getting to the top 2 now, so it's getting some deep ass Kino here.
Dangerous levels of Kino.
Yeah, Blair, go for it.
All right. So I wonder if this is one that anybody else here is gonna have on their list. I guess maybe not, just because I know Carlos, and I don't think he's gonna put this on there for some reason. I'm gonna go with this very iconic little film called The Seventh Seal by Ingmar Bergman. So I've only seen 3 Bergman films. Just recently, I saw Persona for the first time. I feel like I've seen 3 of his essentials: Seventh Seal, Persona, and Autumn Sonata. Totally. I would say that The Seventh Seal is the weakest of those films, but that's not saying like a whole lot, because this film is incredible. I don't even know where to really begin talking about this film. It just has like this certain feeling that I've honestly never felt with any other film. It captures this like time and environment so well. It's like its themes are so heavy because it deals with like death and the Black Plague, but yet the film is not necessarily like overwhelmingly grim in tone. It's like weird. It's like weirdly funny, but it doesn't take away from its like from its central themes. Like everybody knows about like the ongoing chess game with death, and how really you don't even have to like think about it that much. It's just like so well incorporated into the film, so natural. I just think it's like one of the best kind of films dealing with that topic and those themes. And yeah, I really love its kind of environment and atmosphere, like especially. Yeah, I think this is an incredible film. It's like essential kino viewing for like anyone, honestly, getting into films.
Yeah, dude, it's a great one. And you're right. I don't have that on my list. You're right.
Yeah, for some reason, like I don't think Carlos is gonna have this on his.
I don't. I mean, I think it's a great movie, though. You know, there's a lot about it that I do really like. Yeah, and I didn't expect The Seventh Seal to be so humorous too. Like I was laughing a lot during that movie, just because like there's just a lot of humor in it, like a lot of genuine humor. And yeah, I mean, you know, Blair's right. Like it deals with such heavy material, but it's not just completely like, you know, grim with its tone. It's actually kind of playful when you think about it.
But there is a lot of spooky scenes, like that fucking what was it, like a parade or like a march down like this one village?
Oh,
great
God,
scene.
That was a great fucking scene.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Same here. Really good.
But yeah, that's also a film I need to rewatch. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Me too. That was my first Bergman. I was young and dumb, so I didn't like fully grasp it, but I definitely enjoyed it. But then I've gone on to like watch other Bergman, like Persona and Virgin Spring and all these great masterpieces, and I want to come back to it, you know, and maybe it would probably be in my list if I revisited it. But yeah, Bergman's an essential. I'm sure he killed it in the 60s, so I'm sure we're gonna have some 60s Bergman to come out of when we do that. But yeah, I haven't seen Wild Strawberries. Have you guys seen that? I know that's a 50s Ingmar Bergman movie.
I haven't. Honestly.
Wild Strawberries. That was my first Bergman. I like it. I'm not really that huge on it, but I do respect it and I like it for certain reasons. But yeah, you could tell that movie's like quite personal in a lot of different ways. Again, like it's a movie that's about like death, coming to terms with your regrets, stuff like that. But yeah, I like it, but you know, most people that I talk to, they like are really in love with it. I'm not on that level, but I do like it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've actually heard a few people say it's like their favorite Bergman, which truthfully, there's no wrong answer when people ask. I mean, he's one of those directors where I feel like everyone has a different favorite. Like I love The Virgin Spring. Like that's up there with my favorite Bergman movies.
Dude, I haven't seen it. I really want to see it, dude.
I haven't seen it either.
I think I'll bring it up in our 60s conversation. It's quite a movie. And that's probably his darkest. So it's like kind of almost the antithesis of Seventh Seal in a way. But yeah. I think Carlos, you are up.
Oh shit.
You're number 2.
All right. Number 2. I hope that we kind of see this film in at least one of y'all's lists, but we'll see. Number 2, we got 12 Angry Men.
Yes.
From Sidney Lumet.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah.
I didn't add it because I knew it would definitely be there, but I knew for a fact one of y'all was going to say it.
Exactly.
So I didn't
that
put
was
it
my
in my...
that was my thought process too.
Yeah, dude, like 12 Angry Men, it's like it's one of those things where it's just like it's such a universally loved film, but it's for very deserved reasons.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, like this is a film that was very long overdue for me because, you know, I've heard about this movie pretty much all my life, but only until again, maybe like a year ago at this point, I finally saw, and obviously I fell in love with it. From start to finish, like just such brilliant screenwriting. Honestly, I might put it like in, at the very least, my top 10 like greatest screenplays ever written.
100%.
It's just like character wise, dialogue wise, story wise, like it's all just so riveting, so nuanced, so entertaining. Henry Fonda in this movie is so good. Pretty much all the acting in this movie is great, but like I think Henry Fonda does a good job at like, you know, holding it down as like the one juror that had doubt and, you know, really pleaded his case. Yeah, like it's a film that's purely dialogue driven, all in one room type situation, you know, films. And, you know, I couldn't ask for a better type of screenplay for this type of subject matter.
Yes.
just, great stuff all around. I mean, I know like people have already talked their heads off about this movie. Like it's just like it's like a Kino essential. It's a film that, you don't have to be like a Kino lord to really appreciate. Anybody could watch this movie and just love the hell out of it. But yeah, I love what, where the narrative goes, what's revealed about certain characters as the story goes along, how characters interact with each other and how they deal with, how they deal with these interactions, especially when it starts to explode even more by the end of the film. And it's a great testament to just like the American court system as a whole. But yeah, that's all I'll say for now. I really love this film a lot. It was really satisfying to buy it on Criterion.
Yeah, dude, that was one of my first Criterions I ever got, because that was an early movie that made me fall in love with movies and classic movies especially. And that movie really encompasses like the true power that cinema can have, because it's to make such a contained movie riveting and that emotionally resonant with each of its characters is just mind-boggling. And to be done in the 50s and to take that big of a risk, because movies were all about, at least in America, I feel like movies were very much about spectacle driven, storytelling, and that movie was just drawn back. And Sidney Lumet, I'm going to talk about him probably a lot more in like the 70s specifically, has directed some of the best scripts that have ever been written, in my opinion, like Dog Day Afternoon, Network, obviously with Panchali. It's just he's a director that honestly, like he's revered, but I don't think he's as revered as he should be. He's directed, I feel like, some of the greatest films, like maybe 3 or 4 of the greatest films in American history, in my opinion. But yeah, it's a masterpiece. What else can I say? It's just so good. Yeah. Okay. My turn. My number 2. This is another kind of no-brainer. I feel like it's not an original pick, but similar to what you just said, Carlos, I kind of have to, just because it's that good.
It do be like that sometimes.
It do be like that a lot of the times. Sometimes I'm a basic ass Kino lord. But hey. I'm talking about Vertigo, which is widely celebrated as one of the greatest films of all time. It was number 2 on the Sight and Sound poll recently. I think it got dethroned because it used to be number 1 by John Dielman.
Let's go.
Well deserved for sure. I prefer John Dielman personally, but Vertigo that's a film that kind of made me fall in love with Hitchcock. Was one of my first early directors that I loved. And I'll be honest, like a lot of his work just doesn't stick with me as much besides Vertigo. That's the movie that obviously he's a master and like such a iconic and revolutionary filmmaker. But I think Vertigo truly is the one that will stand the test of time for a long time. Mainly because it doesn't have any gimmicks like his other movies do. Not to say that they're bad gimmicks, like he has a lot of twists, or he has like a very confined movies in terms of location, but Vertigo is just a beautifully told story about love and the human mind and the human psyche. It explores at a very kind of progressive time to be doing that. And my God, we were talking about Technicolor, and the Technicolor in this film, I hope it gets a Criterion or something eventually, because the transfer would be just so gorgeous. This movie just is so beautiful, and the colors are so vibrant and everything. And James Stewart in this movie is just phenomenal, like one of the most underrated movie star performances I think ever. So yeah, this is kind of like the populist pick. I kind of, sometimes veered off into more obscure films on my list, but like this, I feel like this movie is undeniable for me personally. When people ask what are some of the greatest movies of all time, I always have to bring up Vertigo. I think it's pure cinema in the mind of one of our greatest technical filmmakers of all time. So yeah, and obviously there's a lot of Hitchcocks you could throw at for these lists, but that's the one for me.
Yeah, man, like kind of a hot take for me, but like I'm not that in love with Vertigo. Like I like it, but granted, I haven't seen it in such a long time. I haven't seen it in like at least 4 or 5 years. So maybe on rewatch that will change. But like, I don't know. Like, I like the movie quite a bit. Like, I would probably give it like an 8 or something. But I don't think it's, at least from what I remember, I wouldn't say it's like a masterpiece or like, I think for its time, it's like, I could definitely see like why, like, for its time, it was like a lot, like a really like life-changing kind of movie. But I actually like, in terms of Hitchcock, I would probably put a few movies above Vertigo.
Yeah,
because
fair enough.
Because I'm with you, like Hitchcock movies in general, like for some reason they don't resonate that much with me. Like I can recognize like the directing talent and everything behind it, but for some reason, like they don't resonate like that much with me. With the exception of a few, but for the most part, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can appreciate what he did for cinema, but like personally, I'm not like he's not my favorite or anything.
Yeah, and that's why I prefaced it at the top too, that he was like an early director I loved. Like I don't really go back to those movies that often. And Vertigo, besides Vertigo, and yeah, not like a very emotionally like resonant filmmaker by any means. And I think this is where personal bias kicks in, because this is a movie my dad was like obsessed with Alfred Hitchcock, and he's one of the people that got me into cinema and stuff. So I just have fond memories of watching this movie and like Rear Window and all that stuff with my dad. But the reason I picked this movie is I truly think it stands the test of time if you rewatch it. Not to say like your opinion's wrong, but I feel like even just like the deepest of film lovers, like if you rewatch this movie, I think there's a lot of special cinematic achievements that this movie has to offer. So that's my argument for Vertigo.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna go back and watch it. At the end of the day, like I'm the one in the hot seat. Like most people agree that it's like one of the best things ever made. So, if there's anything, if there's anybody wrong here, it's me. So
no, yeah. And that's where taste, I feel like, shows for sure. Cause like I love melodramatic movies done right. Like I said, with All That Heaven Allows, and that movie's very melodramatic, takes itself very seriously. But yeah, I just had to do it for personal reasons. And yeah, shout out to John Dielman.
Oh hell yeah, absolutely.
That was very cool. I think it was Citizen Kane before Vertigo too.
I think so.
It's a cool progression, because going from two very masculine, classic Hollywood movies to that is like very cool.
It is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Where was John Dielman like before? Like where was it ranked?
I don't think it was on the list at all. If I'm not mistaken.
Holy shit!
Which is crazy.
What the hell happened?
They just found out about this fucking movie.
Dude, I honestly credit it. Like, this is like a deeper conversation for another time, but like really quick, like I credit it to like Filmstruck and Criterion Channel, because like that's where I watched that movie. I think that's where like a lot of people like getting into film in the last decade would have seen this movie. Because I'm sure it was like really hard to find before Criterion kind of released it and pushed it out into the world. So I think Criterion is the reason, honestly. I'm like, and streaming being a big part of it as well.
I can see that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if it wasn't on the list 10 years ago, like I don't know what else you could really credit it to other than that, So
yeah.
But yeah, man, that will be on my 70s list for sure. So dibs on John. No,
okay.
No, I'm fucking with you. All right, damn. So we're at number 1. This is big, even though mine is largely unranked, I realize. But yeah, Blair, go for it. Your favorite of the 50s.
It's crazy that like we're now in number 1 because all of our number 2s were like so strong it could easily have been number 1, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That being said, I'll definitely say that this is like it is leaning more towards like favorite, not necessarily best, because if I had to like say a best, it would probably technically be 12 Angry Men. But
yeah, probably.
But my number 1 for me is unsurprisingly La Strada by Federico Fellini.
Yeah. Saw that coming.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I know I talked about it a lot last podcast episode, so I'll try not to, just repeat the same things. Like, once again, I just think that, of course, Fellini did an incredible job directing like this. His debut, if I'm not mistaken, this is his debut.
Really? Wow.
Man, I don't want to get that wrong, but I think it is.
I'll fact check that. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the two central performances of this film are, to me, like definitely like what carries it. They're so fucking good. Probably some of my favorite movie characters ever, or characters like just in general. There's so much great acting in fucking Fellini's wife's face. I don't know her name. I'm sorry. She's really incredible, doing an incredible amount of range in her facial expressions of this film, and it's just one of the most watchable and entertaining films from this era, in my opinion. Like it never feels like it drags. It's just has a really tight runtime that really utilizes it well. And I was surprised like just how I don't know if bleak is the right word, but definitely this film has like a kind of a dour tone. Like it's not the most wholesome thing ever. There's a lot of, I don't know, like just heartbreak in this film in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I for some reason it connects with me like so fucking much. I really adore La Strada. I think it's like my top 5 films ever made for me.
Amazing.
Damn.
Yeah, it's really high up there. I love this fucking film, dude.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I think you'll love it at least more than 8.5 and Dolce Vita.
Yeah, 8.5 is great.
I wasn't really a fan of La Dolce Pizza, but I'm definitely I'm definitely looking forward to La Strada. I feel like it is my cup of tea. So
I think so too.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's his third feature, and honestly, the first 2 movies I haven't really heard of. So I feel like
this is his breakout film, I guess.
This was his big breakout film, yeah. And I've been a little mixed on Fellini, I gotta say. Like, I hope my Kino card doesn't get taken for this, but I was very mixed on 8.5. To be honest with you, and
I think that's reasonable, though. I could see why somebody wouldn't be huge on that movie.
Like, I appreciate that movie is foundational for a lot of filmmakers, and I feel like a lot of people look up to it, and I get why. I guess it just wasn't for me personally, and like I recognize the brilliance in that movie, but my point being is La Strada is the one Fellini movie that's really clicked with me so far. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like there's a personality to that movie that's really interesting, and it does get really dark. Like it's like super realistic in a lot of ways, and a lot of Fellini movies are very heightened, I feel like, and especially 8.5 and La Dolce. La Strada feels like his most grounded, personal, and just elegant movie that I've seen. So
that's the word I was looking for. It's a pretty dark film, honestly.
Yes,
but not like so crazy where it feels like a fucking Von Trier film or anything. But it kind of has some of those elements. That makes sense.
La Strada gives me Von Trier vibes.
Breaking the La Strada.
No, it's definitely grounded, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a great number 1. I'm glad. We were really covering a lot of countries here, a lot of different types of filmmakers, and if we didn't,
it's a lot of variety.
I'm really liking it. Yeah. Carlos, if you want to do your last one, go for it.
All right. This is my number
1 favorite films of the 1950s. And this film is called Sansho the Bailiff.
Wow. I was not expecting
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Sansho the Bailiff is such a moving, heartbreaking, emotional, and just compelling roller coaster of a movie. That's so meaningful and impactful in so many ways. I mean, from every standpoint, this film's incredible. It's beautifully directed, beautifully shot. The characters and the narrative are wonderfully written. and thematically, it's rich as hell. I mean, this is a film that's really difficult to watch in a lot of ways. I mean, it's quite brutal with, how it depicts legalized slavery, basically. And it has an incredible main character as well. I think like the arcs that he goes through is, very complex and nuanced in a way that, I think the viewers will be satisfied with. But yeah, overall, this film is quite incredible. I think this is a film that not the most people have seen, but it's a film that should be on everybody's, like, high up on everybody's watch list. Yeah, just one of the most compelling pieces of Japanese cinema I've ever seen. I'm dying to give it another rewatch. I bought the Criterion not too long ago. Jen hasn't seen it. I'm going to watch it with her because she's never seen it. But yeah, it's a film that in pretty much every way possible just screams like masterful cinema. Yeah, it's also like political in different ways. But yeah, that's my favorite film from the 1950s. It's such a compelling film.
Damn, I gotta watch it.
I love that film too.
You will love that film, Eric. I
probably will. Yeah, I probably will.
I always kind of talk about it in the same terms I do with I just forgot the name of it. Harakiri. Where just a very just emotionally draining and devastated movie, but done so beautifully. And Kenjo Misaguchi is a really interesting director. So really innovative director.
I don't think I've seen anything else by him.
Ugetsu's a masterpiece as well. I think you would very much.
Dude, I want to watch that movie so bad.
It's very good. It's his movie on the Sight and Sound list, actually. So
by the way, I didn't include the Human Condition was arguably going to be number one. But since it's just the part one, I've only seen part one, and I just feel, I don't know, I feel kind of wrong including a part one movie that's not necessarily a complete thing, So I don't know. It's kind of hard to put that movie. That's fair. But just know that that was the only thing holding that movie back from being basically like number one and number two, because The Human Condition is so freaking good. It's a masterpiece in my opinion.
It's like a 12-hour trilogy, isn't it? It's like super long.
Yeah, I haven't seen the other two yet, but just the first one is so freaking good.
Nice. That'll be interesting in the 90s. Like if one of us wants to put up like the Three Colors trilogy, like picking one of those is pretty difficult, or I'm sure you're not going to have one before sunrise or some shit. But
no, I definitely have one in my head, but I'll save it.
I will too. Yeah, that's a good thing. I didn't think of trilogies. Yeah, because like Panther Panchali was also one too.
Yeah, it's true. Like probably what I'll do is if I do watch part 2 and part 3, I'll rank it in the decade that it ends on. I think that'll be fair enough.
That is fair. Yeah, that's a good idea. Really unexpected for some reason. I didn't think you were going to say that, but that's a great movie. I actually haven't thought about in a while.
Which one?
Sansho.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. That movie's fucking phenomenal, dude. I love that movie.
I remember I think I was really baked when I watched it. So I was just like an emotional wreck. I watched that really high, and then it was Dancer in the Dark, and those movies were like,
oh, nice,
fucked me deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times of watching movies baked. Depressing movies, they're fun. All right.
It just, there's something about it when you're stoned, it just hits different,
Yeah. At that point, though, after Dancer in the Dark, I'm like, I shouldn't watch any more Von Trier this high. It was kind of the nail in the coffin, so to speak. Yeah. All right, so I'll do my number one. And I'll be fully honest, I had another one in mind, but I fully know that you guys wouldn't have been on board with it. Because I don't know if Blair thinks this, but I know Carlos is not a fan of musicals. And I was gonna say Singing in the Rain. But that movie is like one of the most popular movies of all time. So I'm like, why do I need to spotlight that movie for?
But granted, that is one musical that I really, really actually want to see.
It's really hard to dislike that movie. I'd be shocked if you're like,
I technically have seen it. I watched it one time in like 6th grade chorus, and I remember bits of it. And the fact that I even remember bits of it in a positive way back then makes me feel like if I watched it now, I would genuinely love it, like all of it. So that's one musical that I'm looking forward to, actually.
Yeah, I would love to hear what you. Again, it's very hard. You have to be very cynical to be like write it off as just another musical. I think it's truly amazing. But yeah, I wanted to pick something more personal again, and not as highly praised. That especially by someone like Damien Chazelle. The whole like inspiration for his whole career is Singing in the Rain, it feels like. But side note, my number one is another obvious choice, kind of like Vertigo, but I have to say it. And it's Ikiru by Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm happy that Kurosawa is getting representation, though.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
Arguably, I could have said Seven Samurai or Throne of Blood, but I've always felt that hands down Ikiru is my favorite of his films. I mean, what hasn't been said already? I mean, it's like deceptively so simple, like in terms of story. It is just about a man who's diagnosed with cancer, and he tries to make the most of his life in his final few months. And it's Kurosawa is like such a large scale, like kind of big time filmmaker at the time, and to see him kind of ramp down and just do such a personal, intimate story like that is just, it's so incredible to me. And I think emotionally resonant even to this day. Like it was just remade into that film Living, which I haven't seen yet. But that kind of just shows how much waves that this movie has made in the cinematic landscape. I feel like it's really one of the first movies, watching classic films like pre-1970s that just felt so human like. Obviously you were talking about Sansho, that's another one. And just the humanity in the shot composition in this movie. Like there's the shot of him on the swings, and the camera kind of dollies like around where you see his face. Like,
love that scene.
Just so one of the greatest shots in cinema history.
Made me tear up, man. Had a tear.
It really does. Absolutely. Yeah. And even like Kurosawa, the master of camera movement and framing, like I think it's one of his best shot films, up there with like Ran or Throne of Blood, like I mentioned before. But yeah, like we got to represent Kurosawa, and I think that this is, his most personal, resident, and just I think might be the film that people will remember him for even more than Seven Samurai, in my opinion, because I think so many people have connected so deeply to this movie. And also the third act switch, I don't want to spoil it. It is so interesting. It's just a crazy subversion to what you wouldn't expect to happen. And it delves more into like legacy and like how you will be remembered and what people will remember you for, and like the good and bad aspects of that. And yeah, I think it's a movie that everyone can relate to and just find so much warmth and meaning, and I think it's just a phenomenal film. So yeah, that's my last choice per kicking off Singing in the Rain. And I'm happy I did, because I think that movie just means more to cinema in certain ways and to my personal canon. So
yeah, I'm really glad you did that, dude. Like if I had honestly, I can't, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite Kurosawa, but probably right now it's probably between Rashomon and Ikiru. So like I can't really choose between those two right now, but I'm kind of leaning more towards Ikiru because there's just so much emotional resonance with it, and usually I kind of favor movies that are like that.
Same.
But yeah, I'm really glad you picked that film. It was heartbreaking not to put it on my list, because I really do love it a lot.
Yeah, Blair,
I've seen Ikiru, but to be honest, I feel like I don't remember all too much about it. Like I don't think I was in the right state of mind to watch it. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you definitely have to be in the more melancholic headspace, I feel like, when you're going to watch that movie.
Absolutely.
Not as, virtually entertaining as like Seven Samurai or The Hidden Fortress. It's deeply about character and like humanity and stuff. So it's not the easiest movie to throw on, but sometimes it's the mark of great cinema for me. But anyway, we got Kurosawa. We got some of the greatest filmmakers on our list here, so it's going to be very difficult to dwindle it down to 10. But I was thinking, I guess, let's just throw 5 more out there. Why not? Let's get some honorable mentions. If you guys have 2 more, if not, that's okay. I have so many on my list, but Carlos, I know you wanted to rattle a few off, so let's just add them because maybe they'll beat the top 5 that we already had. You never know.
All right, so I'm not going to throw out The Human Condition yet because I said I would do that at the end of when the trilogy ends. So not The Human Condition, but I do fucking love that movie to death. What I will say is, if I'm only including one director still, I'll go Rashomon since you said Ikiru. Rashomon.
Is that the 50s? Let me double check.
I think so. Yeah, 1950 exactly.
Okay, cool.
Damn, man, Kurosawa made some bangers.
Seven Samurai, is what I would throw out.
All right, I'll add that to Blair's list then, so we could all have a Kurosawa then.
Someone needs to say Passive Glory for fuck's sake. Just kidding.
I've never seen
I
it.
might say it. You never know.
Hold on, let me look more. You know what's a great film, but I'm not going to include it officially? Pickpocket.
I wasn't going to include that, but I had a Bresson in my back pocket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Let's see here. What else we got? Oh damn, A Man Escaped is great.
That was my Bresson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm gonna go official honorable mentions, I'll say A Man Escaped, Rashomon. How many do I get? 2 or 3?
Blair, how many do you have?
I only have like one more, and I don't even necessarily think it's like one of the greatest things ever. It's
You want to replace it with Seven Samurai?
No, not at all.
Okay, I'll cross out Seven Samurai. What's the one?
Oh, I mean, I want to keep Seven Samurai, not the other one.
Oh, you do? Oh, my bad.
Sorry.
I thought it was the opposite.
Communicate it well.
I thought you were just like, fuck Seven Samurai. I'm like, ooh.
No.
Yeah, I think. Oh no. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I was gonna say Ace in the Hole, but I already have a Billy Wilder film.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I'll just say A Man Escaped and Rashomon. That's it.
Blair, you want to go with Seven Samurai is yours?
Yeah.
What was the other one you were gonna pick? I'm just curious.
Shadows by John Cassavetes.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. I like that movie actually. That'd be interesting.
It's pretty good, but I don't think it's like greatest.
Right. It's not. And I feel like if we're gonna talk about Cassavetes later too, so we'll get him on eventually.
For sure.
So my 2, Carlos stole A Man Escaped from me, so I will say no. It's okay. Sorry. I got so many, dude. It's okay. I will say On the Waterfront as one of mine.
Oh, I have to see that one. I own the Criterion, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, for real? Oh, it's one of the greatest performances on film. Yeah. And the other one, shit, I got so many. Fuck it. I'll say The Cranes Are Flying.
I really want to see that movie, dude.
Okay.
Is that from the same director that made Soy Cuba or I Am Cuba?
Yeah. I'm blanking on his name, but he did that. Those 2 films are like his most iconic. And Letters Never Sent, I heard, is also a really incredible movie. Real quick on The Cranes Are Flying, it is one of the most gorgeously shot war movies of all time. Like I would put it up there with Paths of Glory and Come and See on the technical spectrum. But yeah, it's an emotional, engaging, just heartbreaking experience. And it is probably wouldn't make my top 5 because it's so devastating and hard to rewatch a lot. But definitely deserves a spot in the honorable mention list. It's a masterpiece. And also on Criterion Blu-ray if you guys want a good anti-war film to watch.
Nice.
So yeah,
I've been meaning to watch that forever.
Yeah, me too.
It's very good. All right, so here comes the tough part. We got to dwindle it down to 10. So I feel like the best way to do this are start with the ones that are like for sure, like ones that we all said, oh yeah, that's a masterpiece. That of course it's on the list, you know. So I was kind of keeping track in my head on the ones that we were all like unanimous about. I'll start with Blair's. Like I think, and please, if you object, just say. But I think 400 Blows should make the list because we all seen it and we all think it's a great film. I don't think there's any objections there. So
yeah, that was the unanimous one that popped out to me too.
Yeah. So that could go on the list for sure. 400 Blows.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. I'll switch between us because I don't want to I don't want everyone's list to be left out when we're making this. So I'll have it at number 10 for now. I don't know if we're gonna rank them or anything, because that would be hard as fuck in the long run. From Carlos's 12 Angry Men is a unanimous. I think. How could we object to that?
I can't object.
So we got the numbered movies on there. Got 12
I just realized I was the only one that put 12 Angry Men on their top 5.
I knew somebody else would do it.
Yeah, that's what we said when you said it. We both had it, I think, and then we're like, someone's definitely gonna have it. Yeah,
I just got to it first then.
Yeah, you were the brave one to throw it on there. With mine, definitely not Vertigo.
You could put that on there.
No. It's got to be Democratic. I'll hold off, but I appreciate that. I will say, I think it's Ikiru, right? Because we all unanimously Blair doesn't remember it, but
it's undoubtedly a phenomenal film. But yeah,
I'd say yes to
yes to that.
To Ikiru, yeah. Okay. We got a hot start going with 3 great movies. Got 7 spots left, so I'll go back to Blair's list.
I want to fight for La Strada.
No, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Carlos hasn't seen it, so that's why I'm hesitant to throw it on there.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Damn.
I'm kind of throwing. What about Seven Seal? Would you rather have La Strada? Go ahead.
I think all of our number 1 should kind of just make the list.
I was kind of thinking that too, but
in my opinion, you don't have to agree.
No, you're totally right. That's more than fair.
Okay, cool.
You want me to just add them right now? I'll just add. Okay, I'll add them all.
You can put La Strada on there.
So we got La Strada, we got Sansho, and we just added Ikiru, so that's perfect actually. So, back around to
how many we got left?
We're in the top 5 now.
Oh, nice.
So far I'll say we got 400 Blows, we got 12 Angry Men, we got Ikiru, we got La Strada, we got Sansho. So I think we're very good so far. Seven Seal isn't my favorite Bergman, so I respect it more than I like it is my thing, and I wouldn't be mad if it's on the list. But
that's kind of where I'm at too a little bit. I do like that movie, but I don't even think I would put it on a top 10 of 1950s.
I'm fine. It's not even my favorite Bergman either.
You know what? I take that back. I would put it probably number 8 or 9 or something in top 50s. If we had that much space, I probably would.
Right. I think it would undoubtedly make a top, if we had more spaces. For me though, with your list, I would put All That Heaven Allows in a heartbeat, but I don't know if Carlos is.
Wow.
Oh, I would agree. I would put that above Seven Seal actually.
Oh, base. Okay.
All right, cool. Cool. Okay, Carlos's list now. We said Angry Men, we said Sansho. Wages of Fear we haven't seen. Sunset Boulevard we haven't seen, so it's hard. I feel like you could vouch for Sunset Boulevard so hard though. So,
I was gonna say, don't worry about the Wages of Fear. I understand y'all haven't seen it, and it's ranked number 5 on mine, so don't worry about it. But Sunset Boulevard, I know y'all haven't seen it, but that shit is historically imperative to almost put on it.
I know it's pretty iconic.
We would be fraudulent if we were like, nah. But here's the thing: you had The Killing, and we all unanimously love that movie.
That's
so
true.
should we just? I mean, I think we're gonna have more slots to throw movies in there. So should we say The Killing for now? I don't see objections to why it wouldn't be on there personally, but
if you want, we can
Put The Killing on there first, like 100%, and then see where we're at later.
We can see where we're at. All right, I'll put The Killing for now because that was like a unanimous, like that movie is the best.
Yeah, it's so good.
So for me, it gets tough because you guys didn't see Panther Panchali yet. You haven't seen Night of the Hunter. Or did one of you see it yet? I could be wrong.
Which one?
Night of the Hunter.
No, I haven't seen either of those. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's all good.
I really want to vouch for Panther Panchali, though. I really want to vouch for that movie because, like, I feel like I'm gonna love all of Ray's films at this point, and I just haven't seen them. But I have such a good feeling that I'm gonna be in love with everything that this guy makes, and I mean, Panther Panchali, even though I haven't seen it, it's undoubtedly, like, historically speaking, it is so, like, you know, it's fucking timeless. I know that. It's culturally impactful to the world of cinema. So I don't know.
I agree with everything you're saying.
I've never even seen it.
I know. You're like a film professor on Ray, and you haven't seen one movie yet. Yeah.
I know.
I would personally put Good Morning on, but I don't know. I kind of forget what you guys were saying about that film.
No, I love Good Morning. I'd give it like a strong 9 out of 10.
I'd put Panther Panchali over Good Morning.
Which you've seen Good Morning?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? No.
Because I like Good Morning. I'm not crazy about it. That's why.
Okay.
Like
I love Good Morning personally.
If I was like in love with Good Morning, then I'd be like, yeah, put it. But
shit, man.
I know I can almost know for a fact if I were to watch Panther Panchali, I would like that more than Good Morning.
That's so funny. I mean, obviously it's in my top 5. I can't argue against it. Shit. Fuck, man.
I mean, it's fine. If one of you, I get Carlos, because if one of you guys had Nights of Cabiria, I would be like, I know I'm going to love that. So just go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Fuck it. We're putting okay. The other movies, though, you haven't seen either, like On the Waterfront and Cranes Are Flying, were my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I can't really vouch for those.
I can't vouch for those.
All right, we'll go. Okay, fuck it. Panther Panchali.
Let's go.
I think that's definitely more fitting for a top 10 than Good Morning either way. That'd be.
I literally won an argument for a movie that I haven't seen.
I know. I mean, I have no rebuts. It's in my top 5.
Yeah. That's great.
Okay. Alrighty, so we have 2 spots left, and obviously you guys are going to claim those.
I mean, Sunset Boulevard, man.
Okay.
If we're doing Panther Panchali, you might as well do Sunset Boulevard.
I would almost argue Man Escaped over that personally, but because it's kind of a cleaner sweep because we've all seen it and we all liked it, right? We've all seen that movie.
Which one?
A Man Escaped?
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Okay, never mind then. Okay.
I do love A Man Escaped, though. The movie's based.
It is. There's like no dialogue in that movie. It's fucking incredible.
The sound design in that movie's like on a whole other level, especially for its time.
I know. Like, do we have enough like technical, innovative movies like that on our list? Yeah.
Kind of right, though. How many spaces we got left?
We have 2 left, and
shit.
What about Some Like It Hot? We all like the movie.
I was gonna say that for yours. I think that's like the easy pick out of your list at this point.
That's true.
Because we already clocked back on Seventh Seal.
Mm-hmm.
And to be totally honest, I haven't seen Some Like It Hot, but I just know I'm gonna love it. So I'll do what Carlos did with Panther Panchali. If we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah, fuck it. Just put it on there.
Okay. So the last slot. Let me see how much we got in terms of like equal spread on this list. So
I think I have the most, honestly.
Yeah, we have almost all of Eric's on there.
Oh shit.
So 400 Blows, 12 Angry Men, Ikiru, Strada, Sansho, Killing, All That Heaven Allows, Panther Panchali, Some Like It Hot.
I think we should go over Sunset Boulevard, man.
So we got 2 Billy Wilders on the top 10 list. That's kind of nuts.
And look, it's either, how many of y'all have seen Rashomon?
No,
I've seen it.
I'm not.
I don't think I'd throw it on personally. I'd probably put Seven Samurai or Throne of Blood.
Okay.
Seven Samurai on there?
It's not on our list, but I feel like Ikiru just
Ikiru
takes care of it.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think I could put 2 Billy Wilders. I'm being honest. I feel like
I respect that.
Oh, but Sunset Boulevard is so much more than okay. I don't want to say anything.
Well, you guys should duke it out though, because I could take Some Like It Hot off.
I mean, that's fine. I'm not gonna.
No. This is our democratically elected list. I don't want to.
No. I'm totally fine for either one. I was just trying to. I didn't realize that
Some Like It Hot wasn't even originally going to be on my list. I was just stupid and thought Late Spring was 50s, so it was just
that's fair.
Like
I think we should kick it off. Then I'm sorry to do that, but
cool.
I feel like Carlos vouches way more for Sunset Boulevard for movies that we haven't seen.
I just feel bad because y'all haven't seen Sunset Boulevard.
I haven't seen Some Like It Hot either, though.
But I guarantee you. Okay.
I haven't seen either.
But at least like, you know, one other person has seen Some Like It Hot, me, but nobody has seen Sunset Boulevard.
Right.
I feel a little bad about that.
No. I don't need. No.
I'm truly fine.
Blair has the most movies on here. I want to diversify it a little.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't. It's hard for me to say like I want to throw one of mine on here, but I don't think you guys will get on board for any of them.
Oh yeah, what? Because Night of the Hunter and what else?
Night of the Hunter, Good Morning, Vertigo, On the Waterfront, The Cranes Are Flying.
I mean, Vertigo, like
you should put Vertigo on there. Yeah,
just to well-rounded out.
Yeah, I'm looking at my other honorable mentions. I don't think there's anything else. You know, Man Escaped, we already talked about. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'll put a Man Escape. Like, because if we're just talking purely personal, I would definitely put a Man Escape.
I mean, I love Bresson just because of Balthazar. So
yeah, I know.
I'm gonna watch that movie soon, actually.
So it's kind of like a Man Escaped versus Vertigo right now, right? I guess
right now we have to choose between going for, I guess, the more like culturally and historically impactful film, or just personally, which film do we just consider better? Like,
here's what I think. I think we might have to kick off The Killing and put
whoa
and put Man Escaped and Vertigo in there.
What the fuck you say?
Let me read the list again. Like maybe there's another one other than The Killing. Because we're gonna talk. There's gonna be so many Kubrick movies to come, and like, is this the best Stanley Kubrick movie? I don't think so, personally.
But we've all seen that movie. We love it.
I love it. It's not even in my top 5 Kubricks though. Which I realize
is it top
like,
6.
No, Paths of Glory beats it.
Oh damn!
I'm not trying
Paths of Glory. You want to put Paths of Glory instead of The Killing? I'll be down for that.
Really? No, not even that. I honestly just I feel like A Man Escaped and Vertigo are just better movies overall, but that's just me. Fuck. Let me read them all again so we can see if there's anything else. So 400 Blows, definitely not kicking that off.
No.
12 Angry Men, hell no. Ikiru, definitely not. Strada, no. Sansho, those are all number 1 spots.
Mm-hmm.
All That Heaven Allows could be vulnerable, actually.
It's true.
That could be kicked off. I personally love that movie. The Killing, Panther Panchali, Sunset Boulevard, and we have an open slot.
I don't know. Personally,
I mean, if you guys want to sacrifice All That Heaven Allows, that's fine.
Personally,
I don't, but I know Carlos hasn't spoken about it, so I don't know if he's that into it.
I do like All That Heaven Allows, but I'll give that like an 8 as opposed to like A Man Escaped. I would give that a 9. Paths of Glory a 9. Killing a 9.
Okay, we're definitely gonna have a Kubrick movie. I won't do that to you. I'll definitely leave a Kubrick movie.
Okay, I'm just saying because you threw out you're gonna kill The Killing. So
well, because you have 2 Kubrick movies now that you're like saying are 9s. So how can I kick one off?
Okay.
And we shit, man.
I mean, how much have you seen All That Heaven Allows, Jake?
Yeah, I think it's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Oh,
that's
fuck. Okay, we'll just leave it on there then. I thought like I don't know. I thought like you liked it, but not as much as like Eric. But
no, I'm right there with him. I think
Okay.
it was just out of my top 5.
let's just leave it on there. It deserves a spot then.
We forgot about Seven Samurai. Honestly, I mean,
You said you were only wanting Ikiru on there, so like, okay.
right?
Yeah,
I feel like I just had to mention it because it's just sitting right there, and it's like one of the greatest. No, but I agree. I think Ikiru and Throne of Blood and even Rashomon might be a better movie. So,
Oh wow,
Personally,
that's
I
kind
think
of a hot take.
that's a steaming hot take.
That
I love
is.
all those. I love all those movies. They're all great.
Carlos, if Cine gets wind of the fact that you want to put a Bresson film over fucking Vertigo, he's gonna fucking kill you, dude. He doesn't like Bresson.
Look, they know that the fucking Discord knows I'm not the biggest Vertigo fan, really.
That's true. Yeah.
But
I think Blair, you have to break the tie. Would you rather have Vertigo or Manscaped at the top 10?
Oh my god.
I love both those. I think both of those deserve it. I would just personally fight for Vertigo because if we don't have a Hitchcock movie on here, that's kind of crazy to me. But same with Bresson. But I'm thinking Bresson, like Balthazar, is a shoo-in. Not to project, but I feel like
I'm leaning more towards Vertigo because it would feel right, if that makes sense.
yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of how I feel too.
Oh, you felt that the whole time? I thought you were more. I thought you were more. I was the one mixed.
No, I mean, again, that's why I said personally. Like we're just talking about personal preference. I definitely would prefer a Manscaped, but it just feels wrong not to have a Hitchcock movie in the 50s list more than not including a Bresson, because Hitchcock to me, I think it's a little bit more influential and impactful.
No, you're totally right. And honestly, it was mainly me having that internal struggle. I'm like, because like Manscaped is more just fresh in my head because I saw it for the first time last year. But I guess we'll sacrifice it. That's why I was saying we take out The Killing to put a Manscaped, but that's just me.
No, bro, no.
No, we're not doing it. It's fine.
No, The Killing, I massively prefer. Well, I don't say I massively prefer The Killing, but yeah, The Killing. No.
Yeah, The Killing is Kino.
Okay.
So good.
No, I love it too. That's why I wasn't arguing too hard, but like, anyway.
I know, because if we kick out The Killing, then we're not going to have Kubrick representation, which to me is worse.
My point is we're going to have Kubrick in every decade coming forward.
Yeah, pretty much.
As it should.
Like literally, I would even pick 90s. I will definitely bring up a Kubrick movie.
Yeah, same here.
Jesus. Okay, let me read the 10, and then if we're all happy, we could cap it off.
Okay.
So the 400 Blowjobs is our number 10.
Yes.
These aren't ranked. 12 Angry Men. Maybe we can rank them later for like the final list if you guys want. I don't care. 12 Angry Men at 9. Ikiru at 8. Strada at 7, Sansho at 6. Those are undisputed too, because those are our number ones. So All That Heaven Allows, The Killing, Panther Panchali, Sunset Boulevard, Vertigo. I feel pretty good about that, honestly. I feel
good about that too.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's really good.
Panther Panchali just feels so right in that list. I've never seen it.
You're great. You definitely got to watch it like ASAP now. It's like your new favorite
That's
movie.
True.
That's so funny.
That is funny.
Watch me watch it and be like, this movie's kind of mid.
Yeah, it's kind of mid. I don't really like it.
Soft 6. And then we have to redo the whole list because you're like, fuck it. Oh man. We don't have a Bergman on here, which is fine, right? Because I feel like
he'll make an appearance.
I think, undoubtedly, I think he'll make an appearance. And Perry's coming on the 70s episode, so
that's going to be one hell of an episode.
That's going to be insane.
It's gonna, yeah.
Oh man, it's gonna. I don't know how I can't even fit 5 movies in the 70s, man. Like I'll be real.
I've made my entire decades list. I've already done it.
You've done it already?
Yeah, so
that's amazing.
And my 70s is looking the strongest. I'm like, damn, that's a great
by far.
Fucking decade. Jesus.
By far. And obviously like 90s through the 2010s, I've probably seen the most movies from those decades, but
yeah,
the best movies I think by far are the 70s for me. So that's gonna be a crazy episode.
I might break my one film per filmmaker rule for the 70s.
Ooh. Francis Coppola, perhaps?
No.
Stanley Kubrick?
Yeah.
Oh, what a shock. I know okay, this is like spoiling future episodes, but like Barry Lyndon's like gonna be the most unanimous movie that we're gonna have in the whole tournament thing. So
yeah,
probably.
I don't know. I'm kind of sussing Blair over there.
For real?
I think it's a masterpiece. It's just
but
it's not the one I'm most. It's not the most like enthusiastic like film I'm for. You know.
Yeah, I just see like if he had to condense it down to 5, I could see Barry Lyndon missing that list with Blair's list. So I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting.
It's a mystery.
Well, it might be a 2-way like tie for the 4 of us. People might pick Clockwork and then Barry Lyndon, which I could definitely. Thank God in the 60s, it's very easy to pick a Kubrick movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, never mind. I'm wrong. Never mind.
60. What did Spartacus come out?
60, but then Strangelove in 2001 are in the late 60s. So.
Oh fuck!
That's gonna be a battle.
2001, really?
2001, 68. Yeah.
Oh shit! You're right.
I mean, that's an easy choice for me, but I think other people might clap back.
Blair about to go and like redo his 60s list.
No, I mean I have a thought process on it, but I don't want to say it because it's kind of spoilers.
Yeah, we're heavily. That's Rye Bread's on that episode too, so that'll be interesting.
Oh.
That's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, that's our next one. So
good old Rye Bread.
He's gonna probably have some good musicals and classic Hollywood stuff. I know he loves that stuff. So
for sure.
We're going to have to be more open to, and I brought a Singing in the Rain. So
I mean, I kind of like musicals. I'm probably going to watch Umbrellas Shearboard right after this fucking podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There's a little Jacques Demy
vibes.
Before you go to bed.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. That's the best films of the 50s, according to us. Clearly, I don't think we've seen enough, but I think we've seen some of the best 1950s movies, if that's fair to say. I don't know, but I think that's a good way to kick off this whole project that we're doing here. And obviously, if any of you guys in the comments or have any ideas of what should have made the list, maybe we'll do a revision, but. Actually, fuck that. No, where this is.
I was say,
sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, no, fuck that. This is the definitive 1950s list. Everybody's list is wrong except for the one we just made.
This is the sight and sound of Cinebums Misfit Pond. Going to be published online one day as definitive canon. Yeah. But yeah. Thank you guys for listening to this. I hope it was interesting and informative to any of y'all out there that love classic movies. And then obviously look out for 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, whatever floats your boat more. But I think it's gonna be a fun little series, honestly. Like I've never done like a reoccurring series in podcast form. So I'm really hyped. And again, thank you guys for agreeing to do this. Like it's gonna be really interesting and just a fun debate every month.
I know, I'm excited.
Yeah, this was a blast. I can't wait to do the rest, man. The rest is I think it's gonna gradually get more intense.
Because we'll have seen more films from each decade that precedes.
The 70s episode, I feel like is gonna be like 4 hours of arguments.
I know. The 70s one's gonna be fucking insane.
Yeah, I got some hot takes too for some 70s movies that are beloved. So
oh fuck!
I know you do.
Godfather
I know
2's mid or something.
No, I know exactly what the fuck this guy.
This guy.
He knows.
I know.
If you're attacking like all that jazz, I'm just gonna turn off the podcast.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. Maybe I should. I'll watch it before the thing.
This isn't a spoiler for the fucking viewers, but it is spoiler for Carlos. I do have that movie in my list, but. You know what? Yeah. Perry might cover that. I don't know. Actually, yeah.
It's like top 5 favorite movies for me, so I'm gonna have to tell Perry to fuck off with that because I need it. It's gonna be mine, but no. The more the better for that. No, I can't wait for that. Even the 60s is going to be like really fascinating to go through, which some people say is like the worst decade in film history, but
nah, fuck no.
You don't think so? I don't know.
There's some bangers in the 60s. Holy shit.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even some of the worst decades have great movies, but I think some people say it's like because it was like the transitional period to the 70s, so it's gonna be interesting to go through that.
The worst decade for film was 1900 before film was made.
The Wright brothers. Oh man, what if we did a top 10 of like the 20s and it's just like D.W. Griffith and shit like that?
Oh shit.
The 1890s.
Yeah, that was the worst. That was the worst decade for cinema.
Train rolling into the station is certified Kino, dude.
No, that was boring.
I fell asleep multiple times watching that.
Would not recommend. It's just a fucking train.
Yeah, there's been way better train content to come up after that, to be honest. Anyway, yeah, do you guys have anything you want to plug to the people out there? Anything you want to tease?
Honestly, not really. I'm just going through the motions on my channel right now, really. So
I guess follow me on Letterboxd, which is melancholia _ I want to change my username, but I can't. So whatever.
Is that in reference to Von Trier's?
Yeah. I don't know why the fuck I chose that, but I did. So I'm stuck with it.
It's a great movie.
Oh, I love the movie for sure.
Might be on the 2010s, perhaps.
Shit.
Yeah. Anyway. I mean, I'll just say subscribe to my channel.
Yeah.
The Misfit Pond. Follow me on Letterboxd, the Misfit Pond. And for $5 a month on Patreon, you can join the Discord. And that's about it.
Yeah. That is it. Thank you guys so much. Again, thank you for everyone listening. Quick plug. Actually, it might be too early to say this, but I'll say one thing. We have a website that's up and running now, and we are going to have people writing some blogs and some movie reviews on there. We're going to have all our content on there. We're going to have some fun little new ideas. So go to the Cinebums website. I'll link it in this video. And yeah. Thank you guys so much, and look out for future content and this Best of Decades series. Thank y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.